Hey, peace and harmony here with you today. Want to cover, I feel, something that's a very important topic when it comes to understanding and healing the narcissistic breakup or exposing the narcissist, kind of working through the relationship with them. One thing I really want to discuss today is narcissistic boundary violation, and to kind of look at that as perhaps one of the original core issues, and really, once we're able to see this, we're then able to identify it, heal it, repair it, so that it will not continue to be an issue in the future, and also to kind of be able to identify future narcissists who we come in contact with, either relationship-wise, romantically, or in the workplace, because chances are, if you're working, if you have a career, you're going to encounter these types in your workplace or in your, friendship circle. And I think one of the most hurtful things that occurs with the narcissist or the psychopath is what I would call the cognitive dissonance that occurs in the person who's in a relationship with the narcissist, because of I would say the cognitive dissonance that's created in the mind of the victim based on the duality of treatment from a narcissist. One thing that's very confusing and causes such confusion, and I would say the effects of the brainwashing and the gaslighting, is that they treat us in two different ways. It's almost like a coin, and there's two different sides to how they treat us. Originally, we call it the love bombing, where they're so good to us. They've taken us out, they care for us. We've been able to share things with them that we haven't been able to share with other people. We click, we relate, we're completely lightened up by them, we're completely amazed by them. They're these wonderful people. And this is the love bombing. This is the initial stages where they're setting us up to be disappointed and setting us up to really be let down in the future once they go through the discard phase, or they realize, when they decide that we no longer need to be the supply. And it's that love bombing phase that we as victims tend to hold on to. It's the codependent cycle, and in my study of psychology, it's this, fostering of, holding on to the positive and maintaining that identity that keeps us stuck. And that's a very crucial point, and I feel the victim or the person who's trying to heal really, really needs to understand this so they can release it and let go and be able to move on in their life. And so there's really two key important things at play here. First is the cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is kind of like, it's like being a hypocrite. It is what's created in the mind after one treats you one way, but says another, or splits, behind your back. In other words, it's the two-sided face, the person behind the mask, the truth or the reality of what the narcissist does or says that can cause such confusion and hurt. And I will describe it in a couple of key terms. One is contempt, scorn, and disdain. These three words describe really kind of the hostility that is lurking behind the narcissist mask. And that's what's so difficult to really ingest and understand, is someone who's so charming, someone who has such a mask of perfectionism, someone who has such a mask of intelligence, someone who has such a mask of being a provider or an achiever or a success, how this mask can coexist with the inner core insecurity of the narcissist, which we all have to understand that in this personality disorder, that deep inside this person has very low self-esteem, if any at all. They feel very hollow inside, they feel very empty, and they do not feel a sense of competence. So you can almost think of narcissistic supply as a way to cover up for this, or compensate for this inner feeling of insecurity that the narcissist feels. But what's so confusing and so hurtful, and where boundaries get violated, is this kind of two-sided, personality disorder, where inside, underneath the mask, they have such hostility and such rage. And, if you've ever seen their outbursts, you can feel it's a very tangible, aggressive, hostile feel. And it becomes very difficult to be around. And that is what kind of creates the boundary violation in the narcissist or the target. In the victim or the target, is that this huge energy that they have to compensate, this huge drive that they have to compensate for their inner feeling of insecurity, their own self-esteem, causes them to become really aggressive in their field, overly loving, the love bombing. That's what propels them. And then the target unknowingly falls for this side, and then is really hurt when they discover that there's this huge pocket, there's this huge reservoir of scorn, contempt, and disdain for their target, which is so confusing because it's almost like the narcissist goes on to resent their supply. So that's why you see, the narcissist going on and changing up their supply source, because they have such a resentment for it. What's especially even more confusing is when they string along several sources of supply and do this so that they have like a backup to their backup, and they keep you hooked in just enough in order to keep you in their life and as a source of backup supply. And when you're in this stage, you're basically like straddling a fence, and you have to cut it loose. You have to be responsible, establish those boundaries, and really then begin to, protect yourself from undue duress and stress that's ultimately going to come from being involved in a narcissist. When you see them, run. I hope this has been helpful. Be strong. Peace and harmony coming at you. Have a beautiful day. If this is helpful, please subscribe and share to people who need it. Take care.